We're speaking with Dr. Michael Waller. He's the author of a new book, Big Intel, and he just shared with me something I did not know. I've always thought of cultural Marxism came into being because they failed at economic Marxism. But that's not exactly what he said. He said it actually started before. Marx was focused on the cultural side first, and then he moved to the economic. Can you describe that?
Sure. So Europe in the 1840s was beset with revolutionary movements against the mainly monarchies and family-run countries and principalities. So Marx had the idea: let's rip apart the culture. Where Germany had been Protestantism, you had a whole revolution in the church, and then lots of different Christian churches springing from that. So Marx said, let's wreck the churches, all of them. Let's wreck observance of Jewish religion and custom. Let's wreck Western values and all the morals and everything that come out of all these Greco-Roman, Hebrew, Christian traditions, and declare war on each other and basically have a civil war of everybody fighting against each other in these countries, which were multi-ethnic, empires, many of them. But even put individual against individual down to the families, turn children against their parents. Well, that didn't catch on. So by 1848, there were revolutions going across Europe. So he said, let's make this an economic thing. With the Industrial Revolution, we'll put the poor, exploited workers, the proletariat, against the wealthy bourgeoisie, overthrow the system, and create a dictatorship of the proletariat. So if you're a Marxist, by definition, you're seeking some kind of a dictatorship to come out of what you're doing. The same with the cultural Marxists. But because the cultural part didn't really work, when the Bolsheviks took over Russia in 1917, they did it as a German operation, by the way. That Lenin and his group were funded and smuggled into Russia by the German General Staff during World War I, paid by the Reichsbank of Germany to overthrow the then post-Tsarist democratic socialist government of Kerensky, to get Russia to make a separate peace with Germany so the Germans could fight the French and the Americans and the Canadians and British and everybody else on the Western Front. So this all began as a German operation. So then the Bolsheviks thought, hey, we can't replicate this revolution anymore because the Western societies don't want this. The workers won't rise up. So let's attack the culture.
Wow. And so here we are, and they've infiltrated our government, our spy agencies, and, frankly, it looks like they've been heavily involved in almost every administration. I'll exclude Reagan, and they were definitely involved in the Trump administration, not against him, not for him, but inside the government. And how are we going to fix this, Mike?
Well, first, they even got into the Reagan administration with the Department of Education. Jimmy Carter created that as a sop to the National Education Association, which has been pushing cultural Marxism since the 1930s. The head of the NEA was working with the Soviet Comintern to promote this and to train the teachers. And the teachers across the country, they didn't know what this was. They just wanted the best methods of teaching and so forth, and they were getting it from a national union that they were paying dues for, that they trusted. So Reagan set it up he promised to abolish the Department of Education because he saw this was a central control over education that was politicized. But, it ended up not happening, mainly because neoconservatives who took over the Department of Education wanted to save it. And so here we are today.